We are ready, so whenever you guys are ready, please.
I'm sitting here with Victoria Stitzer, is that correct? Okay, and I just have a few questions for you on your beliefs on the truth possible behind the paranormal, or elements of that, or things that kind of enlighten people in a positive direction. Could you tell me, Victoria, a little bit about what you do and what you've established for yourself here?
All right. I have been in business in Las Vegas for almost 7 years. I'm part owner of Transformations, Anti-Aging Med Spa, and Wellness Center. And my background is in clinical hypnotherapy. I'm a master of neurolinguistic programming and psychology. I'm also a Reiki Master. I teach all degrees of the spiritual modality.
Correct.
That's very well known.
Can I stop and interrupt? Everything that you are saying, can you say to him and not directly to the camera? Just so, like, you guys are having a one-on-one conversation and the camera's not even here.
We're sitting in our living room.
Yeah.
and talking. Okay. Okay,
We're bringing it from the top again. Yeah.
I'm sitting here with Victoria Stitzer, correct? Is that right? Okay. Victoria, could you enlighten me, fill me in on what you've established and what your gifts or what it is that you do when you're here?
My background is in clinical hypnotherapy. I started off with hypnosis, as it's known on stage, entertainment, in the entertainment industry when I was 9 years old.
Wow.
And slowly transitioned into clinical hypnosis. So I have been in that industry for several decades.
Oh, wow.
I'm a master of neurolinguistic programming and psychology. I'm a pranic healer. I'm a Reiki Master, teaching all degrees of Reiki, as well as Theta healer. I also specialize in mental telepathy and handwriting analysis, and all of the things that you want to hear about. I own, Transformations here in Las Vegas. Transformations is a med spa, anti-aging med spa and wellness center.
Wow.
I obviously do what I love.
Apparently your passion is so you wouldn't be here if it wasn't your passion and believed in it.
Correct.
The Reiki Master, I've heard that before. I'm not so familiar with that. Could you kind of enlighten me with what a Reiki Master actually is and what they do?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, Reiki is a healing modality, probably the most ancient healing modalities, and there's a lot of controversy going on around whether or not Jesus was a Reiki Master.
Okay.
A Reiki Master is a teacher who initiates any mere mortal to be able to channel God's light through themselves and onto another person.
Okay, God's light.
God's light, universal life force energy, love energy, and that light that is emanated from the God within us.
Okay, I see.
So we may have all different beliefs, and so I may be explaining it from my own perspective.
Right.
You can call that energy that is flowing through you right now and keeping you alive right this very moment. You can call it infinite life.
Okay.
So we work with that energy. And it is very different than pranic healing or Theta healing or any other energy modality because it requires the sacred initiation. Now, I have to back up a little bit. Reiki comes from ancient Tibet, and it actually comes from God, God himself. And it's based on the language of sacred symbols. And here we're going back to sacred geometry. Each and every symbol is encoded with highly vibrational energy and information, very specific information to heal on many different levels. There's one symbol is for power penetrating and cutting through. Another symbol is for mental emotional healing.
How many symbols are there?
There are 8 symbols altogether.
8.
Okay. And there are 4 initiation degrees. So when to become a practitioner or healer, well, you were a healer already, you're healing yourself.
Right.
Okay. To become a practitioner, that's a more proper name, you would have to be initiated. So these sacred symbols are literally implanted in your energy centers or vortexes known as chakras.
Correct.
Right, by a Reiki Master. You have to be a Reiki Master to be able to initiate another person. So these entities begin to clear your chakras, enlarge them, and rearrange things inside of you, raising your vibrations.
these entities, are they actually in a spirit form, or are they in a
Geometrical form.
geometrical form? Okay,
Sacred geometry,
okay, very well.
in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, there you go. When somebody passes, I'd like to know your beliefs on that when somebody does pass away. Can you tell me what you believe happens to the body, the soul, and the spirit, or do you believe that they're separate, or are they all the same?
I believe that they are separate. I believe that we reincarnate many, many times. Not 3 times, not 5, 10, 20. Some entities would reincarnate over and over again. We do that until we learn our lesson on this plane.
Okay, do you believe that some people learn their lessons sooner than others?
I do believe that too.
And what lesson, whatever lesson that would be within themselves, right?
Whatever lesson that they need to learn.
So the spirit or the soul, as you talk about reincarnation, they're not something that dies, it just goes into another, is it reborn again? Is it sent to a heaven or a hell? Is it?
Okay. Since I do energy healing and energy training, and this is what I do for a living and have been for many, many years, my belief is that everything is energy. Soul is energy, and according to physics, energy cannot be destroyed or created. Our soul is immortal. It lives forever and evermore. And it evolves, and we reincarnate, we take on a body of something. It could be a human body, could be an animal body. We incarnate over and over and over again until we evolve, enlightened, and ascend permanently.
So,
My belief.
no, perfectly fine. I have no problems whatsoever. I do want your beliefs, that's very important. So, upon you talk about God, do you believe that God is the creator of all energy?
Correct.
So do you feel he could destroy the energy if he chose to?
Yes. But
Okay.
the energy does not destroy itself. Energies can be only replaced. You can take one type of energy away and replace it with another, but all these energies are forever present.
Are the energies directly from God, or do you believe that there is a darker side like Satan?
All the energies are directly from God.
Okay. All right. So the Satan aspect, you don't believe in a darker side of Satan existing, or the devil himself, or?
I believe in lower energy and higher energy,
Okay.
and obviously the physical manifestation of energy produces a human being.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we're a low vibration creatures.
Is there-
So as our soul evolves, as we evolve as spiritual beings trapped in the human body, as we raise our vibrations, eventually we get to ascend and not to have to repeat the same mistakes and the same struggles all over again.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
And as part of what I do is past life regressions, and I know that some people don't believe in past life regressions, and that's perfectly okay with me. But something within them opens the door to the information that was locked years ago.
Is it almost like a deja vu type thing?
Exactly, but during a past life regression, a regression is not a past life reading. I know that some people do psychic impressions and past life readings. This is not what I do.
You're not a psychic or a medium, or?
I am an intuitive.
Okay. Is that in relation to psychic or medium, or is there a big difference, or?
There's not much difference. It's semantics pretty much.
Okay.
I like to use certain words and don't like to use others.
Oh, most certainly, fair enough. I'm not sure the relation between a psychic and a medium, and what you do for your profession and your beliefs as a person. So you're not you don't have, it's not a religion, am I correct?
It is not a religion, and I do channel information from the other side.
Okay.
And that happens spontaneously. I cannot really ask for it.
Oh, certainly.
It happens many times, and when it happens, I feel blessed.
Do you always feel good about it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, and I have communicated with those who have passed on, not only from my side, personal family, and even my pets, but other people that I have worked with. But I want to back it up to past life regression and tell you how that works, which some people don't realize. you get to go in a trance-like state, which is called hypnosis.
Okay.
Right? And we, as human beings, we live in the trance. We're like robots walking in trance most of our lives.
Okay.
So hypnosis is a natural state of mind. So you get to go into a very deep level or state of hypnosis.
Is it sleeping or?
No, hypnosis, even though the word hypno is Latin for sleep, there's nothing about sleeping in hypnosis. In fact, when you're asleep, you cannot be hypnotized. You go unconscious, and I'm unconscious when I work with you with hypnosis. So when you're in that trance-like state, you ask for permission to enter the other side.
And who allows the permission?
God.
God allows the permission.
And your higher self, you ask your higher self, which is a medium that
Okay.
connects you to God.
Okay.
Okay? And if your soul is in agreement, then you enter that door. And you will go to a past life that you want to explore for a purpose of to discover what is holding you back in this time, or why you keep making the same mistakes, or meeting the same person to
Right.
make the same mistakes.
So you have to learn from your path of whatever path it is you're walking.
Right, or why people have, or they're born with a physical disease that they cannot seem to resolve, that stems from a past life, for
Right.
example, okay? Or some people come into this earth and they just don't have a voice. They're so quiet.
Yeah.
They don't want to be seen, they don't want to be visible, and so on. And when I get to regress and we find out all sorts of interesting things as to why this occurred, and once you have witnessed that life that locked you up, maybe you were hung, maybe you were beheaded, maybe something else had occurred, and you have a relief, you come back a new human being,
Okay.
a new person.
So upon the person actually passing, the body will be laid to rest,
Yes.
but the soul and the spirit, which are, they're the same, you believe, or separate?
I believe they're the same. Their energy that hovers around over that person is still alive.
Now, when do they make that adjustment? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Mhm.
When do they make that adjustment when it leaves the body?
Yes.
When do they decide upon what you believe is
Mhm.
reincarnation? When does that take effect? When does that happen? Immediately, or is it something that can take years?
It doesn't take place immediately by any means. A lot of souls, see, were struggling, having fear passing, transitioning to the
Okay.
other side. And even having passed on, they're still holding on for their life, even though they're not in the body anymore. And they have some unfinished business, and they will be communicating to their loved ones until they get it. And until the loved ones also let them go, only then they can transition to a period of rest. Okay?
But to be reborn again?
It's a period of like a holding tank, in
Okay.
a way, where the soul is held, it's purified, where all the conscious memory of the previous life is wiped out, so to
Okay.
speak.
Okay. So it's like a tape that you're clearing?
Right, and I do regressions where you can go to different stages of that transition, actually. So not just to a past life.
So this has been something you've done since you're the age of 9, is that correct?
No. This I've done for just a couple of decades.
Okay. Did you ever have a prior? I know we entirely discussed about discussing religion, but just one question on the basis, if you don't mind.
Mhm.
In your years of growing up, did you ever have a religion at any point? Did you ever?
I have never had a religious upbringing
Okay.
because I come from Russia and
Oh, I
I came to
see.
the United States 31 years ago, and at that time, behind the Iron Curtain, with the communists and socialists and all of that, my upbringing had nothing to do with religion. In fact, religion was forbidden in
Right.
schools and in the society, so I didn't get to be.
Was there a mentor or somebody that you followed to learn what you do? Was there one in particular person that you either read about or had met that actually?
Influenced? I would say not.
Okay.
No, bits and pieces and
Research.
deep meditations and going within and finding answers, and I do a lot of that.
I know, what is her, Victoria, I can't remember her last name. She was,
Stitzer.
yeah, well, I mean, the lady that actually, what was her name? Dorian Virtue, I'm sorry.
Oh, Dorian.
Dorian Virtue, I apologize. Is she in the same area that you know of her, you read her books?
I have met her personally too.
Oh, really? Okay. So
So it's a,
would she have been like a mentor to you to help you to grow more into what you do and what you believe?
yeah, I would say so. I've read her books, and Louis Hay, and all the people of that type have influenced, my beliefs
Correct.
and what I do, obviously. But I also want to mention something about past life and reincarnation that you may find interesting, especially if you do not subscribe to the belief that, yes, the soul separates and then reincarnates and so on. Scientists have also found that we store memories of all kinds, conscious memory, logical memory, and emotional memories in each and every cell of the body. Okay? So by taking one single cell, which is not visible to the human eye, we can reproduce a human being not only looking like you,
Mhm.
but who would have all the memory of your entire life, all your emotional baggage, all 9 yards, and the memories of all your past lives. And I personally believe that this fact is responsible for the government not allowing to clone human beings, because it will create monsters.
How would it create monsters?
Because of our memory, of our emotional memories.
Okay.
We don't, see, how many past life regressions have you had? What do you know about yourself?
I can't think of one.
Okay, I've had 18 past life regressions, and I'm sure there are a lot more lives that I have experienced. I know a lot about myself, but I don't know all.
Okay.
Right? And I still think that would be dangerous to clone a person.
Do you think on the natural born side of childbirth and actually people actually giving birth to a new child, that would all stop if they started cloning people? Childbirth itself, would that be something that you would feel would be better to stop and actually just clone the people over and over again?
Oh, if we find a genius.
A genius?
And do a lot of past life regressions and make sure that he was not a psycho who killed people,
Yeah, yeah.
then, yeah, it'll be a good idea to clone that person. But the general population, I think, is a very dangerous thing to do.
No, it is. It's probably been for a long time. I believe that nowadays it's just too many people, and so there's a lot of discomforts in a lot of what people believe or say. So there's a lot of mix-up. Do you have a lot of people that, of course, with your establishment here, that join you and come to you for like a following?
I have a large following here. I have over 4,000 people
Wow.
on my database that I know of.
Do you just locate here in Las Vegas?
Las Vegas alone, yes.
Alone, so you don't travel outside the state, or?
I do sometimes to teach Reiki classes. Yes, I have done that.
Wow.
Oh, yes.
I heard something about Reiki, maybe been somebody that you'd actually known, a lady named Brenda.
Yes.
And she has some rocks.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what the rocks represent that she was rubbing.
First of all, I don't know which Brenda it is. Brenda is not exactly an exotic name.
Exactly. I believe she had come to you. Well, there's a lot of blonde Brendas out there, so. But my point being, in relation to that, is that she was Reiki, but had some rocks that she would rub.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure what that meant.
Well, part of the training is learning about different crystals and minerals.
Okay.
But for crystals and minerals contain memory, and they are programmable. We can program them with symbols, we can program them mentally, and that programming does not wear off. It stays there for hundreds and hundreds of years. And vice versa, we can get information from those stones.
You mean telepathic information?
Telepathically,
And-
channeling that information. I, for example, can hear stones. I can hear like a story.
Okay, now, who puts these verbal stories or information in the stones for you to hear? God himself?
Not necessarily. Perhaps
Right.
some other human beings or healers or whoever. For example, if you had
Somebody that just passed may have attached herself to a stone and actually would be able to really touch it.
that person may have had a piece of jewelry and then it was sold in an estate sale, and somehow I got possession of that.
Okay.
And by sleeping next to it and holding it in my hand, it translates into a story and a feeling and
Is it like we're speaking? Is that what you hear, or is it?
Mhm.
So it's not like a thought process. It's an actual verbal voice.
It is my own voice in my own head telling a
Okay.
story.
Oh, okay.
So every time I channel meditation, for example, I have a lot of gatherings here, and I do lots of guided meditations. I have never prepared one, and I never had the time to know what I'm going to talk about.
Right.
So I just open myself to divine energy, to God's light, and whatever comes in, I hear it, and it comes out of my mouth.
The channeling, are those like angelic beings? Are they angels? Are they people that have passed on, or is there a separation between the two?
A lot of times I do not know exactly who and what it is, but when I say a prayer that let me become an open channel so that what comes out of my mouth is for everyone's high good, everyone involved,
Okay.
then I don't have to worry who specifically it is. I just get the information.
So you never think to yourself, who am I speaking to? Are you sure it is who you are speaking to?
Sometimes I do, but most of the time I don't. And I thank all of the ascended masters, guides, and angels and archangels, and I give thanks to God and the whole entourage.
So you had mentioned, if I can back up a minute, just beginning as one last question, you had mentioned Jesus Christ being possibly Reiki.
Reiki
Can you
Master.
explain to me what would, in relation to Jesus Christ, the Son of God,
Yes.
would be categorized in your eyes as that?
Okay. It's not just my opinion.
Okay.
In history books, okay, from what I've read and what I have taught my students, Jesus Christ happened to travel a lot.
Mhm.
He traveled to India and from we know, possibly traveled to Tibet, and who knows what other places he has been to.
Mhm.
Okay? And he taught the 5 ethical principles. At that time, it's mind-boggling. The same ethical or spiritual principles that we as Reiki Masters promise to live by, and they go like this: just for today. Every one of them starts off just for today. I let go of worry.
What are
Just-
the 5 basic?
Well, I am
Oh, I'm
reciting
sorry.
that. Just
Okay.
for today, I let go of worry. Just for today, I let go of fear. Just for today, I do my work honestly. Just for today, I respect my elders, my teachers, parents. And just for today, I give gratitude to every living thing.
Hmm.
He taught these principles that we're living by, and he did healing, hands-on. He would channel God's light through his hands. We do the exact same thing.
So he, according to the history books and stuff that you learned or have read, were him going after demons and exercising demons in people, is that something you feel that you do as well?
I personally choose to stay away from that particular work, but you're asking about exercising?
Yes.
Okay, I understand what you're
Okay. Yes, I had heard that
I
he-
do that, I do not advertise that. It's not a very pleasant line of work. I know how to do it, I have done it, but if I can help it, I'd rather not.
Correct, okay. Okay, that, fair enough answer, fair enough. Is there anything else that you'd like to add to the interview while we're here before we actually?
I would like to add that each child, each newborn baby chooses their parents.
Okay.
And to me, it was just a theory that I bought into, supposedly. However, about 20 years ago, when I had my first attunement, Reiki attunement experience, I have experienced incarnating into my own body. I have witnessed the whole process and meeting my parents. So by doing so, I got to rewrite my history. My history wasn't very pleasant. I'm not going to go there. A lot of abuse and neglect. And I got to rewrite it in such a wonderful and uplifting and positive way that it has changed the course of my life.
So your life now has always been good?
Yes. And
No
this is-
problems, no,
Look.
I mean, we all have problems, right?
We all have problems, and we all have stress, and we cannot change those
Yeah.
stressors and problems around us. But
Right.
what we can change and need to change is our outlook, our attitude towards them. It's our response to stress and to problems that we may suffer from or be joyful about.
Sure, so if you look at something in a more positive direction, it's gonna become more positive, right, rather than looking at it as a negative, rather than getting upset. Let's laugh about it and look at it in a positive way and see what the positive sides are.
And this is exactly what I do for a living.
Oh, okay.
75%, that's what I do.
Wow.
I help you restructure your beliefs so that your outcome, your response to life is absolutely glorious. Because we're here only.
That's probably why you have such a big following, being that